So, do you want to talk about the open practice or whatever y'all want to talk about?
You
Oh yeah.
drive, buddy. What do you want to talk about? Let's do open practice. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Hmm, okay.
This dog is being
Um,
chill.
um, I got some questions for you guys, and I want to see what Devondre Sweat does in open practice, and how will he be able to stay on the field? It's the main. It's the main. It's the main question.
Uh, will we see him in open practice? That is the question.
I think we'll
Yeah,
see him in open practice, but preseason, I don't know how much we'll see him there.
right.
Some to get the acclimated to the new offense in real time, but as far as open practice, I think we'll see everybody.
Yeah, as far as
JC,
Tavondre, I want to know how he's been keeping his body in shape and whether he's been taking care of himself, and hopefully he's on top of things. We'll see.
Oh, I'm sure he's probably got a whole team of people getting him in the right place.
Yeah.
he said that he wanted to get down to like 355 range. Then he will be a Hall of Famer.
Makes you wonder what he's at now.
Right? What are they saying? 370?
I think so.
That's
It's
a
a big
big
dude.
boy. I know that.
Yeah, this stretch when there's no practice and there's nothing, these guys they gotta like maintain themselves and be on top of things for themselves, and idle's hands are the devil's playground. So what I don't know what he's been up to, but I'm hoping that he's not going to be injured when everything comes back. I'm hoping they'll be able to practice, but nobody seems to know what the hell's going on with the guy. So I don't know if you guys have any insight on what's wrong with him or if he's going to be healthy by the time training camp starts, but I hope he is.
I think they're just biding their time. There's no rush for him. And I think they're just trying to get him right, get his weight right, and like they've been saying the whole time, I don't think there's a rush.
I think so. I think that he got injured in one of the practices in rookie mini camp, and I, I I don't know if it was that ball catch that he done in the end zone or how that works. Preston, what do you think it is?
I'm not sure if he wasn't injured already coming in. I mean, he might have very well been injured before, during some kind of pre-draft workout or
Right.
pro day or something.
And we don't even really know if he is injured, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's my point. Nobody knows
Could be
what the
the
hell's going
conditioning.
on.
Yeah, they're keeping it super on the I guess that's the thing for this new coaching staff. They like to keep everything hush hush, I've noticed. They don't talk about injuries that much, and they don't try to they tell you a lot without telling you anything.
Yeah,
I mean, we're
Callahan
used
will
to that with
cost
Vrabel.
a bunch.
Right.
They like Coach Faber would used to do is he would not talk about injuries until the last minute of the end of the week. But what I want to hear from Brian Callahan is I want to hear the injury during the week, not at the last minute.
Right.
Yeah, if anything, I got the perception that this coaching staff is a little bit more forthcoming with information than the previous regime. That was my initial gut based on how Callahan talks. He's a little bit more friendly and he might be a little bit more, honest when it comes to information.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He talks a lot more without still not telling you anything.
Talks in circles. Yeah, I've noticed
Yeah,
that.
yeah. But Vrabel, he was more of shorter answers. Callahan, like you said, he'll talk you around the circle, and then you forget about what you even asked him.
Um, so what I'm hoping this this new coaching staff will do and the training staff will do to keep the players from getting injured. We had so many injuries throughout these past 3 years, and it hasn't been good for the Titans.
No, it really hasn't. I mean, it can't go anywhere but up, right?
That's right. Plus, didn't they hire like a lot more people for strength and conditioning
Yeah, a lot
than
more
they used?
resources are going to be devoted
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah, I think they
Looks like in
hired
the
like
draft.
5 or 6 more people or something like that.
Might have
So
even been more than that. I heard
yeah,
seven. I thought it was
maybe.
7 or 8. Honestly, is what I
Yeah,
remember
because I know
hearing.
they hired a few. I know they hired. Hopefully, it gets better. So we'll see. Like everything's a waiting game right now. We all just want to wait and see what's going to happen. Is it going to be great or is it going to blow up? It's a big waiting game.
Um, so I hope that Big Jeff can keep Devontae Sweat in check.
I think Big Jeff will keep the whole team in check. I don't think we got to worry about Big Jeff. He's now the official leader of the entire team.
I'm kind
Yeah,
of the main thing is that I'm kind of worried about is Devontae Sweat.
hmm.
No
I
sense in
mean,
worrying.
it's it's understandable. It really is. It's understandable. Everybody's worried about it. Second round draft pick, only practicing for a couple days.
and then uh and then he goes down with that injury that he had.
Like I said, let's just hope it's minor and let's just take it one day at a time and not worry about, because we don't know.
Right.
Most likely, he might come back and be ready to rock in a week or two. But we'll see.
I think if he starts missing training camp, then you should start worrying.
Yeah.
But besides that, I'm not worried yet.
And we do have a little bit of money to go out there and pick up a veteran if we need to. If somebody, doesn't make it through training, I mean, we got a little bit of cash to spend. I feel like if we need to go
Yeah, I
get
think we
somebody
still
to
have
patch
over
it.
20 million, don't we? I think we're over 20 million still.
Mm, I think so.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I think like 21 or 22, somewhere around there.
I'm,
Or they could
I'm,
even make a trade if they needed to.
Yeah,
I, I,
you think there'll be a trade? You think there'll be another trade?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I,
You never
I
know.
think it'd be a late round draft pick if they traded a pick.
The only trade talk that I don't like hearing is the Harold Landry trade talk. I don't like all this. We should trade Landry talk. I don't like it.
There's no. I don't think there's a chance in the world they trade him to that contract.
No, I mean we need that man on the team right now.
That's
Yes,
just our lower tier section of our fan base, spouting nonsense. So that happens in every
Right.
fan base. You got a bunch of guys at every team that follow on
I'm
Twitter that put out BS that makes no sense. So
right. I really believe he's going to be a 12 plus sack guy this year.
Uh, Chris
especially another
told me.
year removed from that ACL tear. I mean, I think so too.
I think that this Harold Landry trade talk is just nonsense.
agreed. I've
Yeah,
never
I
even
don't.
heard that, to be honest with you. But I don't scour the X universe looking for. I mean, I'm not. That's the first I've ever heard anything about that.
Really? There's been a few podcasters that's put it out there. They should trade Landry.
I'm not putting that out there. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna be different.
Right now, I don't want to trade him either.
No,
I
there's
want,
not like
Yeah,
like President said. There's not a snowball's chance in
yeah. I
hell.
don't think they traded.
Yeah, I don't. I just think it's silly.
Agreed.
um. So, is there any possible chance that we could grab another safety?
That's the
either
big question.
it's either that or we roll the
Yeah, I think
dice and
we
we
do.
let Elijah Molden be the man. I'm trying to figure out what they're thinking and whether or not they're just playing wait because these veterans don't want to, they want to wait and not have to deal with training camp. I don't know.
I think if they do get anybody, it'll be right before training camp or like you said, but I think most of the time they want to be there for a little bit of training camp. But we'll see.
Yeah, I
Like you
think they
said,
do
I
get.
think
I think
they're all on vacation right now. They're
no, I
not
think
worried
they'll
about
end up
signing with
signing.
nobody.
Mm-mm. No, I
Preston,
think
do you
they
think
signed
we go
somebody
with
closer.
Elijah?
That's what they did last year with.
So, Preston, I'm gonna ask you. So, how would you feel if Justin Simmons came over to the Titans?
I'd be ecstatic. He's really, really good. I mean, I think kind of like they did with Hopkins last year. I think if they sign a safety and hopefully it's Simmons, because that's the best available one, that they do sign him like right before training camp.
Marcus Maid where did Marcus Maid go?
I'm trying to remember.
Is it Miami or no?
I think it was Miami. That sounds right.
Yeah, it does sound
Okay,
right.
so my question is, who are the candidates to sign Justin Simmons besides us? Is there anybody out there that needs him as bad as us? I don't think there is, but who would? He probably would rather go to someone where he could win a Super Bowl, kind of like what.
Yeah, but
was.
I think a lot of people like our defensive coordinator, and I think that he's going to attract some guys to come play that usually wouldn't come. I think.
Yeah.
So Steve Jackson used to play on the Titans back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the Oilers and used to coach for us once before.
Yep.
And there's a play in the Super Bowl where his hand is going up and he almost knocked this ball down over the middle that went to, I can't remember, I think it was Torrey Holt. It was a killer third down conversion where we almost cut off. There's a lot going on in that game, but he was
Man,
he had
they were talking about that game on the radio today. That's pretty crazy.
Never stop talking about that game. In fact, I was watching the Music City Miracle Buffalo Bills. They had a post-game show. It's an hour and a half long. I was watching that last night on YouTube, and just them breaking down how many things in that game that went against them, like little penalties and little spots of the ball where they moved the ball up. They said, and there was a situation where they said Wade Phillips, if he would have just ran the ball and run the clock down to 4 seconds and kicked the field goal, the game would have been over. But the crowd noise kind of like affected his decision making on that. It was just so many little things that added up to that moment.
Somebody's got some feedback.
Yeah. Bryce, are they vacuuming over there?
So we got a comment that the training camp hasn't even started about us breaking down the 53-man roster, but it doesn't matter. I mean, we know the team, we know the positions. We have a feeling of who would or wouldn't make the roster. We could discuss it, We can break down all things off season.
He's a Dolphins fan, anyways.
Yeah, he is.
But as far as breaking down the 53, I think the most exciting question is, well, not the most exciting, but kind of one that I want to talk about is the quarterback position and whether or not the new rules, do we keep Malik Willis on the roster? Do you guys think, or is there a chance that he could win the backup job? And
that was kind of tough because I had a buddy of mine last night that was on Twitter going back and forth at it with me about Malik Willis and Mason Rudolph. But I think Mason Rudolph can make the team. I don't think
they didn't bring him in just to lose to Willis, I don't think. But we'll see. Willis might have upgraded himself a little bit.
I just don't see Malik Willis making the team.
I think he'll be on the team.
The emergency quarterback, right? There's a new rule. Do you guys think he feels that that's our guy?
Yeah, I think he'll be on the team, but
How about
he'll be third
Preston?
string for sure.
How about you?
What do you think, Preston?
You who? Oh, me. Uh,
Yeah, about
I wouldn't
Malik.
be surprised if they went a completely different direction. Like it just depends on what happens and how Malik does in practices in the preseason games. If he doesn't look any better, they're going to go get a third quarterback that is off someone else's roster, most likely.
Okay, but my
You think
opinion,
this?
when you go to practice each week, you need different types of guys to kind of use as a scouting team against different types of quarterbacks that may run this offense or that. They may use their feet more. He's mobile, he's athletic. You know, we may even consider using him on the kickoff this year. You never know. He might be part of those. You know, I've seen where Pittsburgh is going to be using Justin Fields. I could see Malik Willis in a similar role where we do like a Music City throwback or something. So I think there's value to having him as our emergency third quarterback just to start the roster talk off on the 53, breaking that down. I kind of want to keep him as the emergency guy just for continuity. He already knows the team. You know, he may not be able to win the backup job, but I think he's valuable from a scouting role.
Let's talk a little bit about Will Levis and the Miami Dolphins game last year.
Okay.
So I think that Will Levis can beat the Miami Dolphins again.
Heck
Yeah.
He did it once.
Right. He's
I
proved
know
he can do
Jonathan hopes so.
it.
We got
We'll
that.
see. I mean, like I said, the whole team is pretty much hinging on Will Levis's success right there. You know, is he going to be the guy, or is he going to be? I don't want him to be going on the route that Trevor Lawrence is going on, because I feel like he is not becoming the quarterback everybody thought he was. So that's what I'm hoping it doesn't happen. Because I'm one of the guys that didn't think Trevor Lawrence deserved that contract.
Just the new
No, they're
NFL.
kind
That's
of
why they're
stuck
going to put
though.
a salary cap on the quarterback position. It's ridiculous.
Oh, I know, but just, I mean, if you look, a friend of mine put on Twitter the other day, if you put Gardner Minshew's stats right next to Trevor Lawrence's stats, Gardner Minshew had better stats.
So did Marcus Mariota. They're similar.
So it's just, I don't know. I'm not a fan. Not a fan.
Hey, can you guys read the comments? It's kind of hard for me to read the comments because I'm trying to ask you guys questions.
Yeah, it's just that Dolphin guy. He's having a little bit of fun with us.
Yeah, it's Jonathan.
He called him Will Lettuce. I've never heard that before. That's pretty funny.
Right.
Will Lettuce win the Super Bowl one time, God, please.
Yes, just once.
You know,
Guys, I want to talk about the 53. Do you guys because that's what we're here to talk about, right? So the running back position, I got to know what's going to happen with that third running back spot. We know RB1, RB2. Do we keep an RB3, RB4?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think that man, you know, I think Chestnut might win the third spot, just in my opinion.
Is that who you want to win it? Because I want to know who you guys want to win the third spot too.
I think he is going to win it, and I'm fine with that. I like Chestnut.
I like Chestnut too over Haskins because
But, you know, a lot of people would love to see Smalls, you know.
I
want-
Who do you want, Preston?
Dylan Johnson. I want him to win it.
I want Chestnut to win it.
But there is a good chance they could keep 4 running backs this year. You never know.
Because of special teams, that's what I was going to ask. Does Hassan Haskins have enough clout as the special teams demon to keep his job and us justify keeping? I think there's a chance. Problem is, you know, when we get to the next position, there's another.
I'm really excited about seeing that kickoff, because I think that kickoff this year in the preseason is where a lot of teams are really going to see who they're, because you got to have 2 guys returning. So I really believe that they're going to use this preseason to see who is going to win those 2 spots. Because it's going to be a lot of new stuff happening with that rule.
Right tackle is an interesting spot too. I have right tackle sounds kind of interesting also, guys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what has probably the biggest question mark on the team right now is right tackle.
Yeah, you got like
So,
5 guys that are fighting for that spot.
i-
Yeah.
is it gonna be Daniel? Is it gonna be Daniel Blonskill, or is it gonna be
No.
the other? Is it gonna be the other right tackle that we got?
Nicholas Petit Ferrer, if he can get healthy, that's who most people think should win that job. I don't know if you guys disagree with me on that or not, but
Yeah, I mean, he just hasn't shown enough for me, but it's, yeah, I don't know. It's that whole right side has got me a little shaky because there's so many unproven guys. Well, really across the whole board, the whole offensive line is unproven. Really, it's just a lot of talent that we got to see and hope that it comes together and takes off.
Yeah, Cushenberry's the only guy that's actually proven.
Right?
So, let me ask you
true.
guys this
Wow.
now is on the defensive side of the ball, on the other side, on the defensive front, there's an open spot, and it's the left side of that outside linebacker spot. So, is Arden Key gonna be the starter? Or or are we gonna bring in somebody else?
That's I believe they still might bring in another linebacker, but we'll see. We'll
And
see.
that's a situational question depending on how we're going to be playing defense on the field for whatever the other team's bringing us. Sometimes it's going to be Arden Key, and then the
Hey,
linebackers Cedric Gray, Jack Gibbons. What's that? We got some background noise going on there.
hey, Chris, you're breaking up, buddy.
Is that me?
Yes.
Hmm.
Can you go back out and come back in?
Yeah, I'll try to.
Bryce, I thought you were like
Preston,
brushing your teeth or something.
I think it was Bryce.
Oh man, I hear.
Right?
Yeah, I hear it now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back out and come back in.
Okay, buddy.
Well, hopefully that don't knock anything off.
Right.
Well, if it does, then I guess I'll see you in a
So
couple.
you gonna get to the open practice early and try to
Oh
get
yeah,
one of
you
the
know it. What about
parking
you?
spots.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be up at like 6 that morning. I've got a sports card show I'm going to. Then I'm shooting straight over there after
Okay.
that the practice.
Right. Okay.
It'll be fun. Bryce.
There he is.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Do I sound better now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you sound better.
Sorry about that. I might have got a little too close to the mic.
That's all right.
Uh, so Preston, what was we talking about? We were talking about the defense, right?
We were talking about pizza, weren't we? No, I'm just kidding.
Pizza.
Shoot. Yeah, talking about the defense, I think also part of that depends on with that extra rusher how Caleb Murphy develops because that guy had 25 and a half sacks his senior year of college. Granted, it's a
Right.
lower level for state, but 25 and a half sacks is a lot of freaking sacks. That's more than some teams had as the entire season as a whole.
Does it bother
Um,
you that Rand Carthon said they're going to let him play his game and open up, or do you think
uh,
it's just making an excuse for him to give him a chance to try to be like that guy he was the senior year?
how many sacks do you think the Titans will have this year on the defensive side of the ball?
42, and I think to your point, Scoob, I'm hoping that they give him a chance to play. That's really what I really hope because
Right.
that guy's got the ability to rush the passer. Clearly, it's just a matter
Right.
of is he situational? Is he more than
Is he a one
situational?
trick
I guess.
pony? That's
Yeah,
what I'm
hopefully they
getting
give.
at. Is he a one trick pony?
You guys, Murray is going to be out there rushing too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's the other guy.
That's what they kind of said. They're going to let him be free and just kind of do his
I
thing.
think that this team could go either way this year. So, is there any way that we can compete with the Texans?
Hell yeah.
Because it's
I'm hoping for that sophomore slump this year from them.
If we've got a legit star quarterback, we can compete with anybody in the league this year, I
Yeah.
think. And our defense has got some holes, but I think it all depends on Will Levis.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And the offensive line, like always, they're
Yes.
tandem together. We gotta
Mm-hmm.
they gotta be together on that. They both gotta be good.
Guys,
so
yeah. Go ahead, Bryce.
so Scoob. I'm gonna ask you a question.
Okay.
So, what is your favorite part about the training camp?
My favorite part about training camp is to get to meet the players. Get real close to them, closer than you usually do get, and just watching them practice. Just it's football's back when training camp's here, right? We get to see some football. That's what I'm excited about. But it's cool because back in the day, Preston knows training camp was a lot different back in the day. People didn't show up like they do now. There's probably 20 or 30 people at training camp. Now they got to regulate it and only give a certain amount of people tickets, and it's a lot different now. But I love training camp.
Heck yeah.
Can I share a funny training camp story with you guys?
Hell yeah.
So when the Tennessee Oilers, back when we played at Vanderbilt, we had our training camp, and me and my dad, we go up to the camp, and we look up, and Jackie Harris, and this is when they would all walk off the field together, and then we look up, and we see Steve McNair, and my dad is yelling at McNair to come over there and say hi to us, and McNair is rolling his eyes at my dad, because if you guys know my dad, he's a nutbag, but it was just so funny.
Yeah.
That was the first time in my life I'd ever gotten that close to NFL players, and like you said, it's just crazy to actually see those guys when they're really famous. No, not famous, but just McNair. That was the start of a that's my favorite player that other than Joe Montana, that I've ever known. So to get that close, like you said, Scoob, it's pretty cool.
That's cool, man. It's cool.
Yeah.
But I remember Steve McNair rolling his eyes at my dad, like, "Dude, shut up, man! I'm not gonna come over there and sign your,
I'll tell you
I'm
a
tired,
cool-
man. It's hot out here."
I'll tell you a cool Steve McNair story I had back. Like I said, back in the day, Jeff Fisher did the celebrity softball. I don't know if you remember that, Preston. When
Mm-hmm.
they used to play at Greer Stadium. You remember
Yep.
when they did that?
I remember.
My son and my daughter, I was getting them to. I was trying to, like, if y'all yell at Steve McNair, maybe he'll come over. And sure enough, he did. He came over and shook my kid's hand and shook our hands. So that was pretty cool. That's one thing I liked about that back in the day. That celebrity softball, you got to meet a lot of cool players too.
They did the
Heck
dizzy
yeah, that
bat
was
race.
awesome.
They would all spin their head around the bat and try to run around. I
Oh
remember
yeah,
that.
yeah. Because
Oh yeah.
that first time I got to meet Frank. I got to meet Steve McNair, and I think Kevin Dyson was all right there. Just got to meet all of them right there. The first, it's pretty cool.
We got a chat comment that says Team Malik.
Well,
Holy cow. Is that Brian?
That is
Yeah,
what
it is.
be. Other than Malik.
Right.
Team Levis.
Can I ask
Right.
you guys about the receiver position? Who are you guys gonna cut? Is there gonna be a surprising name on there? Someone like Nick Westbrook-Akina, Kyle Phillips. I know Jaquan Jackson's gonna make the team. I think it gets really strange at the receiver
Right.
position this year.
Yeah,
man. I feel like NWI is going to be our fourth wide receiver this year. I hate to say it, but unless Burks does something. I mean, I really feel like NWI might be our fourth receiver.
Hey,
Yeah.
Scoob,
This is another one that do you keep 6 or do you keep 7?
Right. Well, and a couple of years ago, the Bengals kept 8. So
Yeah, they did.
yeah, so you never know. It could be a possibility we have 8 wide receivers, especially with the new kickoff rule. We don't know.
I
Because you
think
got Jackson still. He was doing pretty good on returning.
I
He's
think
coming
yeah,
back from
Harris.
injury. So
I think we're gonna keep 7 wide receivers.
So you guys, I want to hear each one of you guys. Which one of you guys who are you gonna cut?
man,
So let's count them down. All right. So we got we've done this before, but wide receiver 1, Calvin Ridley. Number 2, DeAndre Hopkins. Number 3, Tyler Boyd. Number 4, everybody's gonna say right now, Traylon Burks. Number 5, do you put Westbrook Akina at 5?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, who's your 6?
I mean,
Jaquan Jackson.
yeah,
Me too.
yeah.
So that means Phillips is probably gone.
Yeah. Kenzie's gone. Kyrus Jackson may be gone.
They'll probably be on the practice squad, right?
I think
Yeah.
Kinsey
Now I
will
don't
be.
know about Phillips. He might not be on the practice squad, but he might. I feel like he's a player that wouldn't be on practice squad.
I just don't think Kyle Phillips. I just don't think Kyle Phillips is gonna make the team.
But there again, he's had another great offseason again, from what everybody's been saying. He's had a really good
So
offseason.
Kyle Phillips is the bubble player on whether or not we keep 7 receivers.
I say, yeah.
Or do you keep Mason as your 7th one? Because Mason, I mean,
Right.
he's like Kyle Phillips, but he can stay healthy.
Right.
I'm like, you know what, Preston? I'm gonna say Mason is gonna be my 7th wide receiver.
Okay.
Okay.
But I believe Jackson has a shot because of his return ability. So it's going to be really interesting because that new kickoff rule changes a lot. Like Callahan said, that's another offensive play that's going to be on the field. So
which Jackson are you talking about, Stu? There's 2 Jacksons.
I'm curious,
Jaquan
Jackson.
Jackson. Oh, you're saying no? I'm talking about Jaquan Jackson. He's going to be our returner.
Yeah, probably. But I think
100%.
the kid from last year that got hurt, he was pretty good at returning the ball too.
You could have 1 return kicks, 1 return punts.
I just don't see Kyrus. I just don't see Kyrus Jackson making the team.
Maybe someone else's team or our practice squad, but I think because of the draft capital you spent on Jaquan Jackson, that ensures that you got to.
Right.
I mean, not necessarily, but I think he's.
I mean, he was the 6th round pick, and I think Jackson was the 6th round pick last year, right?
He was undrafted.
No,
he was undrafted. Okay. I didn't know if he was a late pick or if he was undrafted.
He played like he was a draft pick. He was before he got hurt. He was absolutely my favorite undrafted player in the whole camp last year for sure.
Right. So yeah, there's a lot of question marks between 4 and 7 on the wide receiver. That's for sure. A lot of battling is going to go on in training camp.
I have a couple wide receivers in mind at the 7 from 4 spot. Okay, my list is gonna be extremely different compared to you guys. Okay, but do you want me to go ahead and break that down right now?
Yeah.
Who's your number 4?
My number 4 is going to be Traylon Burks, and then my number 5 will be Kyle Phillips. I mean, not Kyle Phillips, but NWI. And then Kyrus Jackson will be my number 5, and then
Maybe your 6.
6, yeah.
Jaquan Jackson will be my number 6.
Okay.
All right.
And then my number 7 would have to be. That one's kind of hard.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle for sure. They're going to really. That's why it's going to be cool to go to preseason this year because them young boys are going to be out there fighting for spots.
Honestly, I think we're going to keep 6 wide receivers.
Do you think just 6?
Yes.
I'm thinking more of 7, just because I feel like that's a number that most teams stick around nowadays. Is 7.
So, Preston, what do you think about us keeping 6 wide receivers?
I think it entirely depends on how the competition is during training camp and during preseason games. If there's only 6 guys that they feel like are worth keeping, they'll keep 6. If they feel like there's more, then I think they will keep 7. I mean, someone I heard say they think they'll keep 8. I think that's doubtful. I mean, I heard that a couple weeks ago, but I don't
Right.
never know. I mean, you never know. 8 guys could be good enough to make this team, and they may be afraid that they're not going to pass through waivers. Because if there's 8 guys that are worth making this team, then they've got to keep all 8. Otherwise, someone's
Right.
going to be
I
on
think
someone.
the more I look at it, because Kyle Phillips can return punts and so can Kyrus Jackson, I think it comes down to like those 2 guys are going to be battling for that final
Special team spot.
Yeah, because they have value as returners. So it's like who's the
Oh,
better
yeah.
returner and who has more value on special teams? Can Kyle Phillips run down and make a tackle? Can Kyrus Jackson? Is that something that he does? And it may come
Right.
down to like just who has more valuability on the special teams. So that's the more I think about it, it's going to come down to those 2 guys.
Yeah.
If we do,
And I
keep
think
7.
Kyrus Jackson can win that battle because I don't know. It's going to be interesting because if he comes out and just blazes like he was doing last year, it's going to be hard to cut that guy. I mean, it really is.
To be honest with you, I think we're gonna only keep 2 quarterbacks.
Well, you need an emergency one now,
Right.
right? Or the NFL allows you to keep 3. Some kind of it's like a rule change.
I I I
You have to
think
have 3 in case 2 of them get hurt.
I think we're gonna I think we're gonna keep I think we're gonna keep Mason Rudolph and Will Levis. I just don't see Malik Willis making the team. I don't. I think Malik Willis is out of here.
If they do get rid of him, they'll have to bring somebody else in.
Yeah, and it would mean that he had a really bad preseason, threw some picks, and he just, that would be
Right.
probably it for his career, I think, at that moment.
Right.
But somebody else would pick him up.
Oh yeah, he'll get a shot.
He might be in the UFL next year.
I think that
Never know.
I don't think Malik Willis is the right quarterback for our system, and I think he would be able to fit with the Baltimore Ravens, like somewhere like with a Lamar Jackson or a who is that other Russian quarterback that runs the ball really good? Preston, is it?
I think he'd be a good fit for Buffalo.
There's a few.
Yeah, there's a few good Russian quarterbacks.
Is it Josh Allen?
Yeah, Josh Allen's another good runner.
Justin Fields is really good, but I don't expect him to be the starter in Pittsburgh.
Do you really think they put Justin Fields in kickoff return? I mean,
I saw it on the Madden game. I saw it on the Madden.
No, I know. I'm just saying. I mean,
yeah, I hope so
just
too.
don't see him ever doing that. I mean, you never know, but it'd be. I don't know. That's silly.
That dude can flat out haul ass. though. I mean,
yeah, I know he can, but
big old dude.
I don't know. I feel like he would feel disrespected. I don't know. I feel like quarterbacks aren't supposed to be kickoff returners.
Usually doesn't go. I think.
Right.
Hey Steve, where did you hear that quarterbacks would be kickoff returners?
Because they were talking about Justin Fields returning kickoffs.
That's weird.
We don't know what to expect with this new kickoff rule because I don't know. Preston, you probably saw it the most. You probably watched the UFL or whatever. I mean, I didn't get a chance to see it too many times.
I watched a few games. I did see a few plays of it.
Yeah, I went to a few games.
What do you think about that rule and what it does to the NFL is going to be a whole different animal when they get to that level of competition, right? With the rule.
Yeah, I think it's good, but yeah, I mean, it's once they get to the NFL, like you said, it's completely different than going against some guys that would struggle to make even a practice squad.
Right.
Do you guys
Do you
think like
think we'll see?
Tyreek Hill, and guys that are just off the charts ability doing plays that we normally wouldn't see on kickoffs this year?
Could be.
Yeah.
Especially
mean,
in game like depending situations like fourth quarter, I could see
right. I mean, it's gonna be really interesting. I'm excited about it.
So, so Scoob, let me ask you a question. Would you want to see Malik Lewis play kickoff for Turner?
Well, I mean, I don't know if he's got nowhere else to play, and I mean, I just don't think that's a. I don't know. I don't think that'll ever happen. I mean, you never know, but I just don't see a quarterback jumping into kickoff return just because he's fast.
I could see him doing a Music City throwback like what we did with Wycheck and him throwing the ball across
Yeah,
the field on
like
a
I can
trick.
see that maybe because like I said, Brian Callahan did say it's another offensive play that they get to run. So we'll see how it goes.
Um, I me personally, I think that we need to. Traylon Burks can play kickoff for Turner.
Yeah, he's big enough. He's
Another
fast
one.
enough.
That's a good point.
Yeah, we'll see.
Um,
But they were talking about using him at gunner, right? They've been using him at gunner.
I think so.
Yeah.
so what do you guys think about that? Do you think that's interesting? Do you think that's an interesting thing, or is it is it is it is it a possibility?
I think it's definitely a possibility. I mean, it
Oh yeah.
depends on if somebody else is any better than he is, but if that's a good role, if he carves out a role there and he ends up being really good at it, then that's another reason to keep him.
Yeah, like I said, he still actually has one more year on his contract, right?
After this one, yeah, through
Yeah.
25.
And then they have the option to take his fifth year.
Um, I think I think that Traylon Burks can be really good at the kick returner position. Um, I I think Chris, you know, you know that you know that we had several kickoff returners and they didn't pan out the way they were supposed
Bryce, I'll
to.
tell you what. I think if there is a chance to see him at kicker returner, they're gonna maybe give him a shot in preseason to do it. Maybe
Yeah.
they'll use that time to figure out who the best option is. And if there's a chance
Man,
that he's gonna do it, you'll probably see it during preseason. I don't expect him during the regular season to just pop
I
out
bet we
there.
see 4 or 5 guys back there for preseason in that kickoff. I bet there's 4 or 5 different guys we probably see back there.
I definitely want to see Jaquan Jackson. I want to see Kyrus Jackson. Traylon Burks would be fun. Kyle Phillips would be good.
Right.
And I've seen Westbrook Akina back there on returns before. I think because he's solid.
I mean, Hassan Haskins, they were talking about him maybe returning.
I mean, Tyjae Spears would be my favorite option, but I
Yeah.
don't want him getting hurt. Definitely not in
Right.
preseason.
Right.
I think that I think Chris. I don't think Tajay Spears is gonna be a kickoff returner. To be honest with you,
Well, he would be
but
my fourth quarter special, the guy that I roll out in
Right.
the most clutch situation, because to me, he's the most explosive guy we got with the ball in his hands, I think.
He is right up there with yes, he is.
He's the most
uh,
exciting player for me. He gets me the most excited about. He's my most. I get the most excited when I think about him of anybody on the team.
I can see it, man. For him and Roger McCreary are probably my 2 young players right now that I'm rooting for the most.
I like Legarius Sneed.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
well, Darius Sneed's gonna dominate.
I hope so. But Preston, I'm gonna have to get off here, buddy. Okay, I appreciate you having me on your show.
You're
All right.
welcome. You're welcome, bud.
You have a good night and tighten up.
Enjoy your 4th of July.
Yes, sir. Happy 4th of July, everybody.
Nice, Scoob.
Take it easy, man.
Take it easy, buddy.
Do we lose? Is Preston still there?
Preston.
His phone may have died or something. But yeah, I mean, there's still a good amount you could break down about the roster with the offensive line and who's going to be the backup center. And, you know, some of those names are not as famous, but there's a lot of competition at O-line too. And when you get to the defensive backs, whether or not Caleb Farley is going to have an impact, I think that's an interesting topic as well.
I think that, Caleb Foley can be a safety at the position. That's what I
Interesting.
that's what I would like to see. That's what I would like to see from Caleb Foley. Preston, are you still there?
He was almost there, but yeah, Caleb Farley is a big, big question mark. You know, whether or not he'll have an impact, and you know,
I think Preston's phone's dead.
it happens.
That's why I charge my phone.
Yeah.
Hey, so Crystal, I got a couple interesting questions for you about the Titans. Okay.
Okay,
So, are you ready for one of them?
I'm ready.
So, who's who could be the backup? Who could be the backup for uh for for Will Levis? Is it gonna be Malik Willis or is it gonna be Mason Rudolph?
No, it's going to be Mason Rudolph, but I think Malik Willis, like I was saying earlier, I think he's going to be the emergency quarterback because there's a new rule where you're allowed to keep 3 guys. And like I said, he offers a lot on the
Ooh, I
scouting
find that
department.
interesting.
Yeah, I think Malik Willis makes the team as the emergency quarterback.
I think Malik Willis. Um, I think Malik Willis can be the emergency quarterback. To be honest with you,
Yeah,
but
that's what I was saying.
so Chris, I'm gonna ask you. So, do you think that is there any way that we've seen Malik Willis in a game this year?
No, I do not. I think it's going to be Mason Rudolph, and if Mason Rudolph gets hurt, then you'll see Malik Willis. But I think as of right now, Mason Rudolph had a really good year last year to finish the season with Pittsburgh, and I think he knows what he's doing. I think he's a good veteran. I think he's probably, learning the offense, and he's going to be the guy that they feel comfortable with when they set out the roster that he'll be our backup quarterback.
And Malik Willis. I'm gonna tell you this right now. Malik Willis doesn't know when to throw the ball down the field.
Well, we'll see if he's learned anything in the offseason. You can always become a better player and improve on your mistakes, but that's up to you to do that in the moment and whether or not he can actually do that. You know,
I mean, we, we've seen the candidates. In last year, what he had against Baltimore and London. I mean, he didn't really do anything.
right. He had a good game against Kansas City early on, and then he struggled late. He's shown potential in preseason games, and fans like his ability to show off his athleticism in moments. But yeah, right now he hasn't ever proven that he can take the
Um,
reins of a team and instill confidence that he'll be the man. He's shown flashes of decent ability at times.
um, here's my thing with Malik Willis is that I like the fact that he's athletic. He's just not he's just not very accurate with the ball in his hands.
Oh, Bryce, let Preston back in. I'm more. Hey, Preston.
Hey, sorry, I got a phone call and I accidentally pushed accept.
Dude, it's all good. We got back somehow. We got back on the topic of Malik Willis, and Bryce finally agreed that he thinks that Malik will be a good, or not a good, but he thinks he would probably be the emergency quarterback.
But here's my thing with Malik Willis is that he's he's athletic, but he's not someone that can throw the ball. He's not someone that's gonna shock me with the ball in his hand.
Well, that's what preseason's for, and he's going to have a chance to prove that this year. You know, with a new offensive staff that has a different philosophy, maybe he looks better. You never know.
Um, but we'll see. But we'll see as preseason goes along. And so, Chris, I'm gonna ask you. Um, I'm. So, do you possibly see Malik Willis on the field in the last game of the season
No,
when
no,
we rest the starters?
not at all. Not unless it's an emergency. Yeah, if we have the number one seed, Bryce, check and see if Preston's trying to get back in. Something happened to him again, but if we got the
Oh
number
shit!
one seed in the
Again.
AFC, oh, you're back.
Preston,
Yeah. Can you see? Can you guys see me?
We can't see you, but I can totally hear
Yeah.
you. Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
Cool.
there
Can
you
you
are.
see me now?
We can see you
yeah.
now.
All right.
It's like a Verizon contract.
Good.
So Preston, um,
So,
we were just talking about Malik Willis, and okay, I want to know what your take is on if he if they're gonna play him at the end of the season with the emergency quarterback spot. Um, can he play in the end of the season game against
it
Houston?
depends. It depends on what our record is. If we're at the end of the season and you got guys that are hurt and you want to see what you have in him, I mean, you probably already know at that point what you have in him. But I think, or if you've locked up a playoff spot, yeah, play him. But if you're competing for a playoff spot, you're sure not going to play him.
Um, so Chris, let me ask you a question. So, um, I can see that Mason Rudolph can play in the end of the season game against Houston if we have if we have like if we have the number one seed in the AFC.
Lord heaven, please.
I heard some background noise.
I heard it too.
Was it me or was it Chris?
Not sure. I know it wasn't me. It's quiet over here.
Hey, Bryce, the last game of the season, it's not going to be Mason Rudolph or Malik Willis. It's going to be Will Levis, taking us down the field trying to get a playoff spot.
If
So,
if
you
we
know,
have if we have the number one seed in the AFC, then I think we rest the starters.
you
Yeah, and
damn
then that,
right.
you're playing Mason Rudolph.
I think that Mason Rudolph can be one of those guys that goes in there at the end of the season and plays week 18 if we rest our starters, if we have the number one seed.
Man, if that's happening, I'll tell you what, I'm I'm gonna be the happiest man in the world if we have that kind of record to where we're competing for the number one seed.
Oh my God, no kidding.
It's certainly possible, but if you ask me right now, we're gonna be trying to get into the playoffs in that final game. I think we're gonna be on the cusp of whether we make it or not.
Um, so Chris, I want to ask you a question. So there's there's a lot of there's a lot of there's a lot of people. So did you hear what Colton Coward said about the Titans? And um,
Colin Coward.
yeah, in his video.
I'm not surprised. I don't pay attention to anything anybody says about my team.
Yeah.
So Preston, what do you think about that?
I didn't hear what he said either,
Yeah,
but
what did
I
he
mean, I
say?
agree with Chris. Like, I don't. Most of the national people, I don't pay attention to just because they don't really know what's going on with us.
Yeah, I think the Big Jeff interview the other day with Rich Eisen was perfect. Even Rich Eisen admitted, you guys get no respect. We don't know what's going on. I know you're a great player, Jeff, but as far as Tennessee Titans, people we know our team, and as long as we can keep it realistic amongst each other what our expectations are, and that to me that's the hard part, being a homer and being a big fan, is I always get hyped up. And I was thinking last year, I'm like, we're not rebuilding, we're reloading, and it ended up at the end of the year that defense was nowhere near being built. We had a bad roster, and I never would have expected our team to. But we were in a lot of games, and we were a pretty damn good team too.
Mm-hmm.
So Preston,
What's up?
I think that this team could go either way this year.
Yeah, we're gonna be better than people say we're gonna be. I mean, I think we win 8 or 9 games.
Me
Let
too.
me let me ask you guys this. So, uh, so the national media has us winning 2 games. How the hell was that possible?
That's what we won last year. Yeah, and you think we added all these people, and had a pretty decent draft class. It looks like. I mean, how are we going to win the same number of games? I mean, I'm with you there. I think that's why I think we win a little bit more. I would hammer the over.
And I don't think a lot of people know, who Will Levis is, or anything about his arm strength or his talent or his, work ethic or anything. I don't think people know him or anything about him. Unless they're NFL experts, people that know the NFL, they know he's got something. I think he's definitely, he's on the radar for a lot of people that understand football and study the game. And people, once he gets real protection, that's going to be fun to see whether he can avoid. Because I think the thing about Will is he makes some questionable decisions sometimes, and the ball. He had a lot of plays could have gotten picked, and it bounced off receiver's hand or defender's hand. So whether or not he makes mistakes, and whether or not he's able to improve and grow, and whether or not that was because of the offensive line he was making bad decisions sometimes, or is he a guy that just sometimes does some silly things. Favre used to make a lot of silly interceptions, but his upside was unbelievable too. He would make a lot of great plays too. But there was some people compare him to Favre. I've seen a lot of different comparisons for Levis.
I would take that outside of the government. I mean, the defrauding stuff.
Yeah, that surprised me.
Yeah, you and me both. That's the program that I worked for 3 years in here, and can imagine. So, I mean, we had enough clients that were trying to defraud that, let alone, I mean, I can't even imagine you'd have like a public figure that stole a lot of money like that. That's super surprising.
Yeah, from a guy who seemingly has it all. Like, you would think the intrinsic value of his life alone, having all that glory and being that famous, like, you wouldn't want to use your power for something like that. You'd want to use it for good. It definitely skewed my my feelings towards how I feel about him. But he's a human, and everybody makes mistakes. I'd still love to sit down and have a beer with him because he's a great force in the NFL and stuff. But that was something that just kind of messed my feelings towards him a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, you just it's stuff like that surprises you, but at the same time, I mean, yeah, it's just it does affect how you feel about that person.
Like I said, he's a human. I mean, none of us are perfect,
For sure.
Do
Not
you
even
think?
Brunt.
Do you think Daniel Brunskill makes the roster as the backup center? That's one. Since we're talking about the 53, that's one of the question marks I have is who is going to be the backup. And there's been people that say that they think that Brunskill is a cut candidate, but I think his value is the only guy that's played center makes it to where he's a must-have.
Yeah, I think so, and I think he's a good swing guy because he can play guard or center, and that kind of versatility is super helpful.
Me too, Preston.
Me too.
There will be an odd man out at the offensive line, and there's so many guys that are of similar value. I don't know who that's going to be, but it's going to be one of those guys that gets cut. That's got some value too. I think we got a pretty good situation with depth going on, but I don't think it'll be Dylan Radins, but I've heard his name mentioned too.
That's one guy I really hope gets a chance to play and takes advantage of it and starts, because that guy, he's not really gotten a fair shot. I mean, he has, but he hasn't. Like they moved him around so much. If he just gets practiced at one spot and focused on one spot, he might have a chance to at least be a solid backup.
He hasn't done enough. He hasn't done nothing too crazy, but in that 49ers game a couple years ago, he actually shut down Nick Bosa.
Yeah, he looked good that game.
He sure did.
Then you got Roy Watson, Sadiq Charles. I mean, they've signed somebody else, another Browns guy. I forget the name.
No, that's why I'm wondering who's it going. That's a huge decision that they got to make for our team. There's gonna be a lot of drama involved in who that guy's going to be, because Callahan's obviously connected to a few of those guys, so he's going to have a big decision to make. I'm assuming he's the guy that's going to choose whatever groceries he cooks with. So
definitely.
Do you think
Brunskill maybe plays right guard? Let's just say, for instance, he's right guard, or Radins is right guard, and then NPF is the right tackle. You got someone like a Brunskill who'd be your sixth guy. Leroy Watson, I would think, can make the team. Sadiq Charles make the team. They drafted it. Didn't they draft a tackle? Or no, they drafted a defensive man.
Last year we had the guy who stepped in for us and that we drafted in the 7th round, and I'm so bad that I have to look at the roster.
Oh, Jalen Duncan.
Jalen Duncan.
That's another guy that could be right tackle.
He played well as a rookie. I mean, he did his thing. I was impressed. And it's in a lot of situations. He wasn't all pro or anything.
Now, if you keep 8 guys, he could be one of the last 3. I mean, I don't think they keep more than 9, but I feel like they keep 8. That's tough, though. I mean, that's another. We got a lot of spots that there's going to be some hurt feelings because you've got good players that are capable contributors. They're going to not be on this team.
Yeah, they'll make somebody else's team, or they'll be on our practice squad, hopefully. And defensive back is the cornerback position. There's going to be a lot of competition on how many cornerbacks we keep too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna ask you guys this. So do you think Jarvis Brownlee makes the team?
Yes, definitely.
He has to.
Do you think he makes it over Roger McQuarrie, or how does that work?
No, but I do think he'll be the backup nickel guy, and I think he'll see the field based on whether him or that undrafted rookie, who I've also forgotten the name. But he's been making big time whether he makes the practice squad or he gets cut and somebody else signs him, that kid's gonna make a team.
Judy Lolly, Judy Lolly.
Gabe Judy Lolly, yes.
I think
He's got great size.
I think
Big dude.
I think Jarvis Family can either make the team. I think he can make it over. I think he can make it over Elijah Molden.
I know with Molden now, he's going to be playing safety, so Elijah's got a role. It's just a matter of where that role is. Is he
If
the
he's
starter?
the starter or if he's the depth piece for the safety. And a lot of times, I don't know about the new coordinator Denard, but we always, in the past, have had 3 safeties in a lot of situations.
Do you think so? Do you think that Caleb Farley can play a little bit of safety?
No.
Whether they let him try that out or not, I don't think they have yet. But that's always been a topic on message boards and stuff that people have thought that he had the size and speed to play safety. But we'll just see whether or not he's actually ready to go or not. I'm excited to see what we get out of him. If we get anything, it's a win.
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's been so dismal to start his career. He's had a lot of bad luck. My God.
Yeah, I'd love to see him be the 4th corner. I mean, that'd be awesome.
I'd like to see him come out and become the best corner on the team and just live
Yeah.
up to his ability. That Chris Sims was calling him like a once in a lifetime type of talent, and then his neck never healed, or whatever happened with the injury and the official diagnosis. He's got something going on with his neck.
Preston, do you gotta go? Do you gotta go in a couple minutes, or do you want to stay on?
I can stay on for a couple more. Yes, sir.
Chris, how about you, bud?
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I'm such a damn Titans fan. I'll sit here and talk Titans all night long. That's just how I am. Eventually, when everybody's done, I'll get off. But I'm pumped for the season. It's only about how many days till the rookies report? Won't they come in on the 17th or 19th? Like that.
Yeah, I think it's the 22nd or 23rd. It's like they all report the same day this year, which is the first time I've ever seen that.
Oh, they all come in together.
I think it's gonna be so. Preston, I think it's gonna be the 21st, or the 22nd, or the 23rd.
Yeah, it's one of those days. I feel like it's the 23rd. Or they report the 22nd. The first day is the 23rd. I feel like I remember reading that.
I got a question for Preston, if you don't mind. So, Preston, how quickly are you gonna start your dynasty with Memphis on NCAA 25?
Probably pretty quick.
Are you excited for that?
And I'm ready. That's and they're all gonna have names and everything. I mean, I don't have to be like quarterback number 3 is gonna be throwing to receiver number 6. I mean, this is gonna be some fun stuff.
Are you PS5 or Xbox?
PS4 actually.
Oh, come on, man. God, we got to get this team play going. I got the PS5.
I might have to get it at some point, definitely.
I can't wait for that game to come out. It sounds
Hell
like
yeah.
it's gonna be something else. Totally different than Madden. They say like the way it feels and everything. So I'm hoping so, because Madden has just become pretty bad,
Yeah, man, hopefully they improve that product too, because Madden was fun for a long time.
Yeah, I play Superstar on Madden. It's just like every single time the team kicks the ball, like it's just they make the field goal. It's like there's no variable to it. It's like, why? How can you put out a product like this?
Is there any possible way that they add the new kickoff rule to Madden?
Oh yeah, it'll be on there.
Do you think that's a possibility?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My problem with the kickoff rule is I still don't fully understand it. It's going to take me probably about a month before I understand everything, or maybe a few games. But
Preston
What's up?
understands the kickoff rule.
Can you
Yeah, it's
explain it at all?
isn't it where they basically they kick it off and then nobody can move until they field the ball, right?
Right, but what's the point of they have to kick it? They can't kick it out of the back of the end zone, right? There's something that happens when they do that.
I can't remember because they didn't have it. They had it in the XFL in 2023. They didn't have it in the UFL in 2024. And trying to remember, I can't imagine they take away the touchback, but I mean if it goes out of the back of the end zone, it's got to be
Maybe they
touchback.
get the ball at like the 35 or something. That's what I'm saying. It's going to take a minute before we actually know,
Oh yeah,
the full extent of what this rule and how to, it's just going to change up the strategy of how you play the game a little bit,
definitely.
So
which
I
is
think
exciting.
so I think you get the ball at the 20-yard line, and then uh, and then I think you have to receive the ball at the 20-yard line. Is that correct, Preston?
I think so. Yeah. Or if they kick it shorter, or they kick it shorter, then you got to move up.
Kickers will kick off from their own 35. However, the other team, 10 members, will line up at the opposing team's 40-yard line.
Okay, so that's what I thought it would be, Chris.
Hmm.
Mm.
Any kick that reaches the end zone in the air can be returned, or the receiving team can opt for a touchback and possession at the 30. Yeah, so if it goes out of the end zone, it'll be a touchback at the 30-yard line,
Perfect.
which is pretty significant. I mean, that's 5 more yards than it was last year. Interesting.
Hey, Preston.
What's up?
So, do you have your phone on the charger, buddy?
I sure do. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad your phone didn't die on you when you were in here.
Yeah. It has before.
I got a question for you guys. So, I remember the era of Albert Hainsworth, right? It was like a peak up where there was one point where he was the best player in the NFL for like 2 years straight, 2 or 3 years. There was nobody that dominated like him. Do you guys think Big Jeff is headed towards that type of trajectory that Albert was once on? Where I think he's about to take over the team.
I sure hope so. I mean, it'd be really good if he was.
I'm gonna go back out and come back in because I hear a background noise.
You remember that era though, Preston, where like
Oh, definitely.
Hainsworth
Yeah.
was like the most unstoppable force in the league
Oh
before
yeah.
he
Oh
got
seven.
that contract.
Yeah.
Similar time frame for when Big Jeff, at the same time in their careers where where Albert started to become that guy. I think Big Jeff is on his way to becoming a superstar. I think Rich Eisen had him on the show because he kind of senses it too.
Yeah. It's sixth season for Albert. Would be the sixth season for Jeff this year. So that's about right. I mean, he could actually be. He could have a monster year this year in a new defense of all things.
Which is why I think Bryce is so worried about Tavondre Sweat being healthy, because I think if you can take away his double teams, then I think that's been the thing. It's just they've been keying on him in a couple of games last year. I remember they had to block him with 3 guys.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a lot riding on Tavondre.
Yeah, if he can get some double teams, and we have one other guy, one good. If Landry's completely healthy, that really helps a lot as well.
Hmm. I think that I think Landry will be completely healthy. Preston, we
Yeah,
should have no issue with Harold Landry at the spot that he's in right now.
yeah,
I mean, he was explosive out there a couple weeks ago when we saw him. I mean, the dude was running like freaking he was running faster than a freaking tiger.
Faster than a tiger. Hey, he is fast then.
Preston, I don't know if you saw the last show, but we had Teresa Walker on, and Bryce didn't even tell me, and then I'm just like shocked at the beginning. But anyway, she said this is the receiving, best receivers we've ever had. Is that it's got to be right?
Gotta
We've
be.
never
Yeah.
had it.
The only thing I can think of that came close is 2003. I mean, we had a stacked group of receivers then with Mason, McCarron's,
Drew Bennett.
Drew Bennett, Tyrone Calico when he was healthy. I mean, that was your top four, and then Eddie Berlin was your five. I mean,
right.
We were pretty stacked then.
So now, Preston, we're even more stacked.
I would agree. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, your top three are even better than that top three.
Who do you think is going to be Will Levis's favorite out of all the guys we got?
I think DeAndre Hopkins.
He's already got the chemistry with Hopkins, but Ridley's. I love that we have somebody who can stretch the field finally, like really stretch the field.
Did you see that video about Ridley and how Jacksonville was putting him on the line of scrimmage too much, and when they would back him off the line and use him, he was unguardable basically. I'm hoping that we take advantage of that and don't let him get pressed on the line.
I'll send it to you, Preston.
Please do. Yeah, I hadn't seen it in a minute. Yes, send it to me.
I'm excited that we finally have a staff that embraces analytics and that they're actually going to, because whatever advantage it takes to get an advantage, I'm open to keep everything open, and accept all forms of data.
I'm very excited that we have a wide receiver that can actually go down and stretch the field like nobody ever has stretched the field like Calvin Ridley.
This is like, he's not Randy Moss, but he's what we desperately needed to stretch the field and to be able to be consistent, and doesn't have a ton of NFL mileage on him either.
Do you guys think it's going to be hard for Will Levis to figure out who to go to, because so many people are going to be so damn good and running around wide open that it's going to be almost like, I can go to this guy, I can go to this guy. Who do I focus on? Because nobody's going to be able to cover Boyd because Ridley's taking away the best corner, and then DeAndre's going to be open on every play.
So, Chris, I'm going to ask you. So, Randy Moss was a little bit over his time when we had him. So, is it DeAndre Hopkins? Is DeAndre Hopkins better than Randy Moss now?
He's better right now than Randy Moss was for that time that he was on the Titans. Randy Moss had a little bit of success when he left the Titans when he went to the Niners. But DeAndre Hopkins, yeah, he's such a technician, the way that he studies the game. He's almost like a martial artist playing football, and his technique is always perfect. The way he catches the ball, he hardly ever drops the ball. He runs routes right. So he's a harder worker, and he's got more passion than Randy Moss had when he was on our team, because when we initially brought him in, there was some optimism that we may make the postseason, but our team dwindled down the line. And I think he became demotivated being on our team. And I remember there's actually a video on YouTube of him pranking in 104.5 The Zone and pretending to be this guy named Woody.
Oh, Woody.
Yeah, and that's how disgruntled he was at the end, and he was actually having fun making prank calls, joking about Jeff Fisher, and that was just such a weird era, because we were all so excited to get him, but it was like the end of the season was like a womp, womp, womp. We had Rusty Smith out there throwing to Randy Moss. He must have thought he had entered a parallel universe.
Yeah, he thought he was in hell.
So in terms of situation, DeAndre's in a much better situation. We've got a kid that actually we can build around, hopefully a quarterback, and the roster's good. I'm excited to see how the running backs affect the receivers, and the teams are not going to know whether we're running or passing, and that should help our tight ends out too. That's the only position group I don't think we've talked about is tight end, and I think our top three guys are set at tight end. I don't think there's going to be any questions about who that's going to be. But is there any chance we keep a fourth tight end? I think there were some guys that were making
I
some
I have a
plays.
I have a question on the tight end. So my thing is, do we keep do we do we keep three tight ends?
For sure, three tight ends.
At least.
That's every team in the NFL. That's a baseline. You got to have one guy that can block and two guys that can catch and one guy that can primarily block.
So, Chris, I'm gonna ask you. So, do you do you think that is my phone echoing now?
It's okay, just a little bit, but it's fine.
Um, so I'm gonna ask you. So, do you think that Josh Wiley can stay healthy this year?
Yeah, I think it's his second season in NFL. I think he knows what to expect. He was a rookie. He'll come in better shape. He knows what it takes to play in the league now. Hopefully, if he's a guy that wants to work hard, he'll definitely improve his body. And that's a big question on the roster is which one of those two guys between him and Chig Okonkwo will become the number one tight end, because there is some debate that Wiley will take the number one job. So I say may the best man win, and if Wiley wins, I think that's good for competition. It means that he's worked hard and he's becoming a solid player in the NFL. And if Chig wins, I think that's going to be great too, because he has a lot of upside and he's very athletic. So
I think that Chig Chig needs to work on his ball skills with his hands.
which he also was a young player coming into his second season last year. This is his third season. He also knows a little bit more what it takes to work hard, and he went through a lot of ups and downs last year, and he finished on a high note. So let's hope that continues into this season, and it'd be great if they both just lived the best version of themselves and they both helped our team out. And it was kind of like a 1A, 1B, kind of like what we have with Tajay and Tony Pollard. You put either guy in there, either guy can get open, and we have a rotation where they both stay healthy on the field, and they have a lot of energy and they stay fresh. You can rotate them.
So now, so now, so now we don't have the young Peyton Manning, which would be Derrick Henry.
Well, we've got the Trench King. We used to have the King. Now we've got a new King, and his name is J.C. Latham. So, we still got a King. Got a new guy that will help build our franchise up. It's going to be tough watching Henry in the purple tutu, as Jeff Simmons said, and he got in a lot of trouble because people were saying they thought that he was saying that Derrick Henry was going to be wearing a tutu, but he's talking about the number tutu. But I can't wait to see that first game of the year and watch Derrick Henry and be able to be off that night and watch the game and he's always going to be one of our favorite players to watch. So it's going to be weird pulling for the Ravens. I'm not going to be pulling for him to win. I'm going to be pulling for Derrick Henry though. I think it's hard not to.
I'm gonna be watching it with you, Chris.
Preston, are you going to be pulling for Derrick that night?
I'll be pulling for Derrick. I hope the Ravens lose, but Derrick rushes for 200.
But I'll be pulling for Derrick.
So they play Kansas City, so you want the Chiefs to win?
Yes.
It's hard for me to pull for Baltimore. It really is. I mean,
that's my least favorite team as well, Preston. I hate them more than anybody else in the NFL.
I hate the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, if that's tough. I mean, both of them are probably going to win their division, so it's just a matter of who. Maybe I don't know. That's tough. I want them to tie. Is that better?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, they tie. That'd be great.
Do you think if Kansas City three-peats this year, do you think Travis Kelce? I mean, do you think he's the greatest tight end of all time? Will you put Andy Reid as maybe one of the? I know he's already stepping up. I mean, and you're gonna have to start talking about Mahomes possibly as the greatest quarterback too.
Yeah, I mean, Kelce. I mean, one of the top three already as it is, and does he call it quits after if they three-peat? I mean, it's very possible.
what he did in that Super Bowl last year to go up and bump Coach Reed, and it actually ended up getting the whole team fired up. Like, I've never seen anything like that. Like, he literally took over that game like he was on a God of War mission or something. Like, that was crazy. Because I thought it was going to have a negative effect. I thought that everybody was going to be like, "What are you doing to Coach Reed?" But no, that was like the catalyst. Like, he was just saying, like, "That's, I know how it is. I get fired up when I'm watching the Titans. I get angry like that, like he did with Coach Reed."
Yeah,
Uh,
he took over. Oh,
question.
Bryce.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Do I sound choppy now?
You sound fine to me. But I've got to jump off here in a second, guys. I just wanted to stay on for a little bit longer because I told you I would. But let's do this again soon.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love, hopefully we get some more material soon. Once training camp starts, we'll have all kind of stuff to talk about. So
Absolutely. All right, you guys. I'll catch y'all next time.
One last question for you: who's got the better receiving core, the Bears or the Titans?
Ooh, that's tough. I think quality-wise, it's us. Like, if you look at our top three versus their top three, but man, that's tough.
It's to be determined. We got to see how good the rookie is on Chicago, the kid from Washington, Rome Odunze, whether he's elite or not. I think that'll determine. I hope it's us, though.
Agree completely.
All right, it was great talking with you, Preston.
All right, you too, guys. Be good.
Tighten the hell up.
Tighten up.
Thank you, Preston.
Yeah, Bryce, we covered everything. We talked about the tight ends, the O-line, the wide receiver, the running backs, the defensive line, the linebackers, safeties, cornerbacks, special teams, kick returners, punt returners. Had a little bit of everything. We broke it down, baby.
But I think that was a good topic that we went over.
Oh yeah, and then when training camp starts, we'll start breaking down the training camp, and we'll have another episode soon.
I'm not gonna go live for a couple weeks. I'm gonna be trying to figure out when I'm gonna move and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's cool, buddy. Well, the Titans, they'll be off for a couple of weeks. We'll be off for a couple of weeks, and then we'll do another one soon. All right.
Yeah, and so go ahead and start the chat. I'll jump on for a little bit.
Okay, buddy. Tighten up, all right?
Hey, Chris, one more question. Just one more. Which quarterback is gonna be better? Will Levis or
Caleb Williams?
Yeah.
I think Will Levis. I think Caleb Williams, because it's his first year, it's going to be rough. I think, unless he just comes out of the gate and he's some kind of prodigy, I think we'll start to figure it out in the preseason. We knew, Pat Mahomes was going to be special because he killed us in the preseason. I don't know if you remember, but we were the first ever team he played against in the preseason, and he threw 2 60-yard bombs in the air to blow our defense up and make us look silly. So if Caleb Williams comes out in the preseason and has some fantastic games, you better watch out. But I think for the first year, I'm gonna pick Will Levis this year. I have better numbers, and I don't think the O-line in Chicago is gonna be able to protect Williams as well as what we have in Tennessee. I know that that's a weakness that they have. So
let me ask you this now. So so is the coaching staff better than the Bears coaching staff that we have?
We'll watch Hard Knocks and we'll figure it out. I mean, I don't know much about the Bears coaching staff, because I think it'd be nice to have a Bears fan on with us to talk about the first game, someone that knows in depth. But, I like what we have going on. So we haven't even seen our guys play in a preseason game. It's Bill Callahan's, new team with the O-line, and then Brian Callahan, it's his first season, and Denard Wilson, he's never been a defensive coordinator. Nick Holds has never been an offensive coordinator. So we have no idea how good our coaching staff is.
Next week I'm gonna have another show, and we're gonna talk about the we're gonna break down our season predictions, about our bold predictions for the season.
Okay, well, you said we weren't going to go live for a couple of weeks, but now you're saying we have a show next week, so we have to figure it out and we'll plan accordingly. And
Are you excited about it?
yeah, I mean, I'm always excited to talk about the Titans.
We're gonna talk about our season predictions and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, we broke down the schedule and we did our predictions and stuff, but I think when training camp starts, we'll break down the the initial training camp practices and everything. I think it'll be a good idea too.
What can we break down next week? Do you wanna do something a little different and kind of mix it up?
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll break down the whole NFL and we can look at each division and just see who we think's gonna, make the playoffs and whether teams have improved. There's all kinds of stuff we could talk about. We can keep it. We can figure out what we're gonna talk about and then
Yeah, I've already gotten a thumbnail for us to use.
cool.
So I can use that thumbnail, and it'll be just you and I next week going over a little bit of everything, trying to mix it up and see how it affects the NFL.
Okay.
And we're gonna kind of go over a little bit of everything, and try to mix it up with each team in each division. And of course we're gonna break down each coach individual, and see how good they are with their team, all this and that. All right,
Okay.
does that sound like a plan?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, buddy.
All right,
Uh,
buddy. I'll
I'm
talk to you on the chat. Okay.
I'm gonna go open the chat, and you jump right on. All right,
All right, buddy. Tighten up.
tighten up, my guy.
Later.
Later.